He achieved success and public confession in the 1920s. After him, people called these years the Age of Jazz. His life could be compared with a three-act play. The first act started with an amazing confession. There was huge disappointment in the second, and complete mental and physical exhaustion in the third. None of the American writers managed to either look into the deep psychological aspects of their compatriots or analyze them so completely as did Francis Scott Fitzgerald. He was born on September 24, 1896, in the city of St. Paul, Minnesota. One could hardly find such a ridiculous couple as were his parents. His father was an aristocrat with fine manners, but an unlucky businessman. His mother was just an ordinary provincial woman. She had no taste or manners, but she was a good housewife. Neither father nor mother corresponded to Scott's romantic ideals. He loved his father, but could not respect him. He respected his mother, but felt ashamed of her. To him, who strove for perfection in everything, it was better to imagine himself to be a foundling. In 1913, Fitzgerald joined Princeton University. At that time, he had a secret dream to become an incredibly successful man. That was the reason he had been interested more in struggle for leadership than in study. He took exception only to literature, which had a great effect on him like wine. Soon, Fitzgerald began to be recognized as a writer among students and became a respectful member of several university clubs. During the third course, the careless student was nearly expelled. Pretending to be ill, he temporarily quit his studies and then joined the Army as a volunteer. But soon, the military service began to annoy the indisciplined junior lieutenant. The Army prevented him from pursuing his true vocation, the literature. A year later, Scott met Zelda Sear on the dance floor. Afterwards, she would play a dramatic role in his life and become a prototype of all his women characters. Zelda combined brilliant intelligence and charity with careless recklessness and striving to new impressions. Scott instantly felt that they were similar in many respects and made a proposal to Zelda. They became engaged, but the easygoing, eccentric girl broke the engagement. She said she didn't want to live in misery. As if to find relief from his grief, Fitzgerald took to drinking, but finally gathered enough mental strength to finish his novel, Beyond Paradise, the plot of which was taken from his real life. The novel was published in 1920, and it became a great success. The unknown provincial guy turned into a fashionable writer and a wealthy man. For Fitzgerald, the popularity of his novel had paved the way to the big literature world. Every next book replenished his fame and finances. Besides, Zelda accepted his proposal to marry. Scott was happy at last. Apart from success and money, he nursed a deep desire to create a certain image. The life of Zelda and Scott were filled with plenty of expensive hotels and restaurants, fashion cloth, rivers of gin, and crazy scandals. In 1925, Fitzgerald finished his novel, The Great Gatsby. The critics admired the novel, but it was not a commercial success, as it was not well received by the public. To maintain his family, Scott had to write stories for the popular weekly magazines. He gradually changed from a cheerful guy to a dipsomaniac and quarreler. With each year, he felt more and more spiritually bankrupt. The situation worsened with Zelda falling ill with an incurable psychic disease. Trying to find out the reasons for his failure, Fitzgerald wrote his novel, Tender is the Night. In the novel, he told the story of the rich Americans who led a fast, dissipated life. He worked on the novel for 9 years. In 1936, he wrote his autobiography essay, Crash, which described his life. By the time he was 40, Fitzgerald had not only become bankrupt, but also had a debt of about $40,000. To maintain his wife and daughter, he took up a job as a staff scriptwriter in Hollywood, although he felt it humiliating to be a penny writer. At the same time, with the scenarios, he was writing a novel about the Dream Factory, the last magnate that he never finished. On December 21, 1940, at the age of 44, Francis Scott Fitzgerald died of a heart attack in his house in California. In his books, he acted as a voice of the post-war generation that had all the gods dead, all the wars finished, all the faith destroyed. They had only fear of poverty and worship of success. It was the crash of an American dream. His private and creative lives were bound together with the deadly fate of being rich and famous.